I'm Alexandra Goldstein. I've been waiting a long time to be able to sit here in front of you today. I am 4 years along a successful recovery journey after 10 years of hell battling opioid use disorder. Now I want to tell you my story, starting with childhood. I fell in love with horses at camp when I was 9. It was a Saturday. I was 13. We were doing a jump course. I fell off. I fractured my spine. I had to be in a back brace, do physical therapy. I never had to be on pain medication or anything like that. Went on to be recruited to ride for Auburn University's equestrian team in the wake of Title IX under Coach Greg Williams. I was the only Goldstein in Deep South Alabama. But when I got to Auburn, I was an entitled, spoiled, mainline snob. I didn't think rules applied to me. And I showed up in my white Audi. I just thought I was hot shit. I was a freshman and I didn't feel like that it mattered one way or another if I was there at that practice. Well, when I got back to practice the next day, both Coach Williams and Coach Schneider were waiting in the office. It's like I can smell it. I can put myself there. And they told me that I wasn't welcome back anymore. And it was the first time in my life that I was terrified of losing something. I begged, and Coach Williams saw something in me, and he gave me another chance. And after that moment, I never took being part of that team for granted again. And it taught me the meaning of being part of something bigger than yourself. We were at a party at this fraternity, and one of the seniors called out, "Auburn Equestrian, we're out." And it wasn't even 30 seconds, and every single one of us was outside in a huddle at the front. So I had this purpose and this passion that I found. I busted my ass to make sure that I upheld my responsibility to be the best version of myself that I could be for the team. My senior year, I was captain and I was on a poster all over school. I graduated and no longer had the 29 other girls. It was almost immediate that I felt like I was floating in space. Got a job working for Accenture in the client financial management division. I wasn't working out to the degree that I was when I was an athlete at Auburn. So my core got weak. My back was killing me. So I went to a spine specialist, a Harvard-educated spine specialist, and his solution was long-term opiate prescription. I believe it was hydrocodone. Little did I know that it only takes 2 weeks for the body to become physically dependent. I went to him to ask him what's going on. Like, I feel horrible. I'm trying to stop taking this medication that you've prescribed me, and I feel like I have the flu, food poisoning, the worst depression, and like my skin is crawling. Then his response was, "Okay, you're addicted." And he sent me up to his friend, the Suboxone doctor upstairs. I was angry as hell at that point. Immediately, I remember watching Dope Sick on Hulu. I think every American needs to see this. I guess the first major thing was delivering my son who was addicted. He had to be weaned off of morphine. He was in the NICU for 6 weeks. After the blood tests and everything, they come back to tell you, "Sorry, you can't breastfeed. We found every drug under the sun in my system." So he had to be in the NICU for 6 weeks. I had to go back every day and deal with just the shame and the guilt around that. After I had my son, I found heroin. It was way cheaper, and I was just overwhelmed with becoming a new mom. I really spiraled. Then I bought what I thought was a Blue 30, and it was fentanyl. Luckily, I had pulled up into the driveway, but I was totally out, apparently, and my son was in the back. The dealer called the EMTs, and they revived me. My dad and my son's father had to come down They had to turn my son over to them because I couldn't take him. I went to the psych ward from there. That's a crazy experience in and of itself. But what I will tell you while I'm talking about the psych ward is that the incredible thing about these inpatient rehabs and the psych wards were the people. So I was sitting in my final inpatient rehab. I was a few days after the detox portion of it. And this doctor, David Clements, he told me that the FDA had approved this new monthly buprenorphine injection. Immediately when I heard it, I told him, sign me up. It took a while to get this medication, several months and a lot of paperwork. There was something about Dr. Clements that was very much different than any other doctor that I had run into. He treated me like I was human, treated me with compassion. He understood. Right before our appointment, I'd shoot up or whatever I was doing, and I'd walk in and I'd tell him exactly what I had done, that I didn't know how I was gonna stop, and he would just be okay with it, take his notes, try to get me back on Suboxone again, and the cycle just kept repeating until the approval came in for my injection. I was the guinea pig for this medication in their office, and before I started the Suboxone sublingual to prep for this injection, I tested positive for 15 out of 16 drugs on the panel. I had as bad of a case of opioid addiction as you could possibly get. Parents were terrified. They were at their end with me. And so the doctor gave me the injection, and I just remember that almost immediately knew that it worked.
I just got my shot. It hurts so bad, but it's in there.
It was September 29, 2018, and that was definitely the day that I got my life back. I tried to use after that, just out of basic fear. I tried, but nothing would happen. And I realized that I had broken free of the physical prison of opioid addiction, and there my recovery journey began. I didn't experience any cravings. The only side effect that I experienced with this medication was that I was really, really tired. I was exhausted. Like, I probably slept for 2 weeks straight. Anybody that's experienced this disease will tell you there's like a pull, there's like an emptiness, a hole, and it's a physical feeling. And my body was just freed of that. Like, there was no suffering anymore. Exactly as it was described to me, it was buprenorphine. It was the same kind of feeling as sublingual Suboxone, but it was prolonged. Like, I didn't have to remember to take it every morning. I didn't have that gut-wrenching, like I would start to get a hunger pit in my stomach, an anxiety feeling, like that didn't exist anymore. It just left me. People in our community, the opioid addicted community, don't even know that it exists, or they equate it with Vivitrol, which is something totally different. The current treatment options for opioid use disorder is based off of Alcoholics Anonymous. That program just doesn't translate specifically for opioid use disorder. This is a new disease that was born, yet we were lumped in with all the other addictions. Today, the current methodologies promote death. Treatment methodology with inpatient rehabilitation, there's no specificity with opioid addiction. You're on a medication, you're on MAT for a week, and then you're on nothing. You're expected to be cold turkey on nothing. That just doesn't make sense. Your dopamine and serotonin aren't producing naturally, so you have no motivation. You don't feel good at all. We've seen that it's an unreasonable expectation or an unreasonable ask. It's not working. Methadone clinics. I watched one of my best friends go through it. It's the worst withdrawal, and you're having to go to a clinic every single day to start your day. It's a horrible withdrawal that you're gonna have to deal with at some point. There's something better today. I remember calling my brother who lives in Mexico when I realized this shot worked. He and we come from entrepreneurial roots on both sides of the family, and I remember calling him and I said, I've got it. Like, I've realized there's something to this. This shot works. And when I tell you I was hopeless, I was hopeless. Like, I was bad. And I realized that it introduces a foundation of integrity and the ability to quantify recovery progress. This shot introduces our ability to create teams around recovering from opioid addiction. I am so confident about this injection, about the efficacy of this injection and our ability to combat the opioid epidemic with the same passionate aggression that it took to create it. When I watched Dopesick, I got so angry. I didn't realize to the degree that the Sackler family went to push opioids like candy. It is the problem of our generation. The reason why I'm so passionate about pioneering an opioid community and recovery methodology is because it doesn't exist. There is not a streamlined guidebook and community to support people through it, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I found out about an opportunity to get certified as a recovery specialist. Montgomery County was offering scholarships, so I applied and I was accepted. So I trained and I studied to get a certification to become a recovery specialist. That experience further confirmed for me the need for a pioneer to pave this pathway for the opioid addicted community. 2017, when the FDA approved the use of buprenorphine injections to cure opioid dependency. 2002 is when buprenorphine was approved, so it is my assumption and experience from talking with people that people equate the introduction of buprenorphine in 2002 as old news. It's not old news. It's a difference between self and daily administration and monthly and medically administered by a professional. It did allow me the space to start to clean up the aftermath, right? And that's a big part of the AG method. The injection in and of itself is not enough. It's incredible. It frees up the space in order to deal with the majority of what comprises opioid addiction. 10% of the disease of addiction is the substance dependency piece. We remain in an opioid crisis today because we don't have a streamlined recovery pathway. This is what I'm introducing so we can create a community around it, we can support each other. The buprenorphine injections approved by the FDA to cure opioid dependence. We need this buprenorphine injection for opioid use disorder in order to free up the space to handle the rest of the disorder. Because we all know that you could stop taking Suboxone 24 hours, get high, and then continue taking your Suboxone. There's no accountability there. This injection introduces a foundation of integrity and the ability for us to quantify recovery progress. It works. We know buprenorphine works. We know Suboxone works. It's worked. We know that it works. What doesn't work about it is the fact that it's self-administered on a daily basis. That's what doesn't work. The AG method introduces a team recovery protocol. This MAT introduces our ability to create teams and be accountable to each other. My target audience, my target market are going to be mothers who suffer with opioid use disorder. Because the disease, right? The disease is 10% 90. 10% is the opioid dependence, 90 is the other shit. So with the MAT, now we have the space to clean up the other shit. I created the AG method for everybody that suffers with opioid addiction to understand our potential to heal today and to give us the tools in order to do that. There's nobody that knows this disease and what it comes with better than I do. The treatment protocol that exists today doesn't work for us. Alcoholics Anonymous, it doesn't work for us. It promotes individual recovery. It's designed for individual recovery. I've created a 5-point plan, the AG method, a recovery methodology that promotes lifelong community and fellowship and long-term recovery from opioid use disorder. The AG method consists of buprenorphine injections on a monthly basis. This injection introduces the ability to create a team treatment protocol, recovery in a team setting, recovery progress tracking, aftermath cleanup. We don't even get here with other recovery methodology, and this is the bulk of what comprises the disease of addiction. It's what keeps us sick, it's what causes us to relapse. The mountain of shit that we've left behind, from legal to financial to emotional, familial, nutritional. This methodology addresses those aspects so that our participants can focus on actually healing. Opioids detach us from who we are. We need to find ourselves again. Buddhist principles like meditation, self-inquiry, wisdom, and compassion are powerful tools to take a look and see what it is that's in our way and how can we overcome those things in order to heal, in order to be the best mothers that we can be for our kids and for our families. It is my life's purpose to ensure that all the mothers out there understand that I'm here. I'm here to stand for you and with you. And you can heal today. There is no doubt in my mind that I am here to dedicate my life to this purpose. I'm in a unique position to be able to do something about this crisis today, to be able to help people, to be able to help mothers that are suffering with opioid addiction. I hope that you will all join me.